July 30, 2022, number 3673 is called Coin versus Catfish. I come from a family of leisurely fisher folk, so even before I was born, I'd been cast by my folks and theirs and so on to the little buster who reels in the catch. And so I was placed in all of the fishiest highfalutin perches known to exist by any in the land of my youth, the natural state, formerly nicknamed unnaturally the land of opportunity. I picture myself peering as I would down the current from the banks of the Arkansas River, trying to envision the impossible to tell, whether or not any yellow-gilled catfish were slithering along the riverbed floor in this, a sport which, like most, I disliked and yet into which I'd be coerced. The grueling hours of minnow and worm finger-puncturing activity. I'd try hard to concoct ways to make such days go swiftly when stuck in this eternal family ritual, but to no avail. In fact, the harder I try, the longer the day would become. A diversion was crucial, however, was my heroic version of divining, another sport practiced in just as religiously in those parts, dousing with a twin-forked twig, also a yawn fest in my opinion. In retrospect, there was a more elevated hobby that was popular thereabouts, but a bit more modern, that swept my imagination, and it too was performed quite often along the same riverbanks and creek beds where I'd spend many a lamented weekend. It was most ordinarily performed by elderly numismatists, retirees who'd get antsy if sunk in their lazy boys for longer in duration than an episode of Wheel of Fortune. Now this was a worthy means of an escape, I would think, as I sat in the boat. For the men, it was solitary. No kids, grandkids, or wives would ever be seen accompanying. These men reminded me of zombies playing miniature golf, but in slow motion and without any golf balls. They'd swing those weird ground-hovering machines to the left and to the right, back and forth, and occasionally directly in front of their slow-dancing gait with a weird wiggled walk that the undead, as depicted back then, would have. In those days, these metal detectors appeared in abundance, as if out of nowhere, and I was in awe. I'd so rather have been in what we called the city, playing a round or three of miniature golf. Occasionally, I'd get lucky enough between reeling in minnows and worms of witnessing one of these grandpa zombies bend over, reach down, and pick up something which would be wiped a bit by a handkerchief and then glimmer at me for a moment before it disappeared into a pocket. And I can tell you for certain that if given a chance, I'd have traded my rod and reel in a heartbeat for one of those gizmos that looked like a weed whacker attached to a UFO and made all kinds of UFO noises. Instead, I was stuck in a boat or on the bank under a glaring sun, counting every second until I finally would hear, "Let's reel 'em all in," which I'd gleefully do and help hitch up the boat before hopping up and into the pickup for the ride back home, during which I'd be nothing but fidgety and hungry, dreaming of what I would find in the sand or the soil if, instead of wasting my time with rod and reel trying to lure in slippery fish, I'd have had in my grip a metal detector scooping up loot and getting rich to boot.